of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Front door unlocked. Take a roll call.
Berry,
Here.
Crowner,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Lees,
Here.
Young.
Here.
If I turned it on.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Next thing is perfecting an approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or changes to this at this moment? If not, then I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Support. Okay, motion and support. All in favor by voice vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we have our consent agenda consisting of 6 items. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved as presented.
Support. Motion support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll go to our administrator for staff report.
Just a couple quick items. I was contacted by Brian Fleming with the solar company. If there's any information, let me know and I'll pass that on. I also had a conversation with Brian Bross from Klinger, and he's taking a look at the information from a different perspective, and that's, as council brought up, and that's whether the city doing the work. He thought he could do a quick analysis based on the information and see what it would look like. Gas, just something we brought up briefly the other day in-house, and asked staff to see what they could do to cut down on that, keep vehicles not running. Police Department, Public Works, weather's nice, so we're going to certainly try and cut down on usage as well. Tax abatement. Kelly sent this out recently. It talks about spring cleanup. It talks about the tree program and volunteers, and on the back it talks about property tax abatement. This went out to residents. I'm going to pass that on down. She's also put together a page on tax abatement. This one is residential, commercial, and industrial. She has a draft one on residential, but was embarrassed to bring it out because she didn't think it was quite perfect yet. So, and we'll be putting some information on the website as well. I guess that's all for tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Public Works.
Well, it looks like the demo's on track. It's supposed to be done by the end of this week, and when I came by, before I came here, they're just about done, it looks like. We did get our new valve exercising machine out of the shop finally for the first time and doing training on it, and it's working well, so you'll see us through the week going around town, a couple guys, and we'll be exercising all the water valves and loosening them up and doing our maintenance on those. That's about all I got.
Thank you. Police Department?
Just want to remind everybody, next Wednesday is a state tornado drill at 10 a.m. So if you hear the sirens going off, that is why. You'll get the alerts on your phone and everything else, 9:30, 9:45, and then the tornado whistle will go off at 10 a.m. Bruce is finishing up step 2 with Cody. He'll be starting step 3 next week with Officer Covert. And we've had a few reports of cars have been gone through. So just, I need to remind everybody, make sure you secure your vehicles at all times. Don't leave nothing in plain sight, anything in plain sight. That's easy targets for people breaking into vehicles. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any report from fire or building that you know of?
Just one quick item. Mr. Guerin was in last week. Kelly and I actually stopped out to the property, met with he and I believe his wife, and reviewed the site. We've gone through the code as well. We also looked at the B2 district and the I3 district. He and the adjacent building are in I2. There's a couple items that we're going to we want to follow up from a code perspective as well. I actually voided the current letter as it was defective. It did not include the proper notice of appeal. And our conversation with Mr. Guerin indicated that we were going to come back, take a look at a couple things, and then we would come out and visit with them on site as a follow-up based on our findings. So it was a good meeting on site.
Okay. Clerk? Finance? Nope. Okay. Kelly?
Have anything tonight? We did send out this little postcard, but we will also be doing a newsletter closer to 4th of July and to do our CCR report. So if you have anything else we want to add in there, we'll probably include again the tax abatement information, maybe in a little bit more detail. This was a pretty small card, but it did get information out about spring cleanup, so. If you have anything you want to see in there, let me know.
I was wondering if, you know, with our LMI set aside the 15,000 for people that have issues, I don't think we advertise it enough for these people to go and apply for it. If we could put that in the newsletter where they need to go, because there's several handicapped people that live in town that have plastic on their windows and they need a little help. I just don't think we advertise that enough for those people to take advantage of it.
Regional planning is administering that. They may have already selected.
Because I think doesn't the citizen have to make the initial request?
I thought they had I'll
I'm going to be out there on Monday. I can check with Mike.
Because I don't think they drive through town and say, oh, somebody, because I'll flag them down.
I agree with you. I haven't seen anything about it one way or the other, whether it's here's how to apply or, hey, we've given this out, and then kind of touting that as a program and things we've done. So one way or the other, it should be out there.
Not enough publicity then. Any other conclusions that you want for Kelly? Okay. Right, then I'll go with council members. Kathy, anything?
Nothing tonight.
Andy?
Gosh, I don't even know what to say about 4th of July right now. I'm already knee deep in it and going, and everybody's helping out and stepping up. And I met with new owners of the Broadway, and they're in and supportive, and a lot of work being done, and especially former councilperson Kathy Christie's been really involved still on the parade. And so we're full speed ahead. We should have all the signups for all the contests and everything out here real shortly. I think Brad's got them all. So yeah, if you're interested in being in the parade or any of those kind of things, we'll have a sign up for you here real quick. Otherwise, I guess I want to mention real fast the Hawkeye article that I just saw, which was kind of funny. And we've been working on the water tower project since before I was even on this council. So yeah, a piece of history goes away in that painting, but you have to do that to make progress. So enjoyed that myself for most of my life driving by that, but you know, that's part of life. We go on and we build new things. So thanks for everybody that helped make that forever ago, but it's time to move on and build some new things out that direction. That's all I have. Thanks.
John?
I have nothing.
Just a couple things to go along with what Andy said. Kathy Christie's working on the parade. I'm working with her on that. We've got 3 elected people have already said, yeah, they'll make the parade. Dennis Calhoun, Shane McCampbell, and then Sheriff Glendenning. She's waiting for responses, more responses to come in. And she, I believe, has reached out to all the council members to see if you want to ride in the parade, and she can arrange cars or not. So let me know. I'll let her know whatever. We could figure that out. That's one. Two, I'm meeting tomorrow with Della Schmidt. I think she's probably been in touch with each one of you two, trying to meet with her to see, get to know us know her. And I think our goal is to help Greater Burlington support Burlington, West Burlington also. So, and then I just had a question or two. Any more news on our lifeguards with the pool?
I believe there was 7 applications.
Oh,
Another one today. We sent them on to Cora to set up interviews.
great.
She's got all of her paperwork submitted to Angie. I didn't touch base with Angie if it's been processed yet, but she submitted all of her information. Once she's officially on board, we're going to set up interviews, make sure she's involved in that process. But we did receive another one today. Yep.
That's encouraging. It's only March. We'll see, right? And last be, April 2nd is the third iteration of the Iowa Municipal Leaders Academy that we all went to at lesson 1 and 2. So I'm planning on going. Hope somebody else is signing up. Okay, all right. That's all I have. Thank you.
On your lifeguards, do you request them to take the lifeguard class, or will we pay for them to take it?
The Y had indicated that they were going to do the training. Kelly had mentioned last week, I believe, that they were still looking for a WSI instructor. Cora can't take the WSI instruction in Ireland, but she's looking, she's doing some pre-work, I'll call it, so she plans to take the test as soon as she gets back in town, so she'll also be able to do the instruction as well.
Nice one, because there was a couple of people that asked me that they haven't taken a lifeguard class or stuff, and I said, well, I think it would be to your advantage to get it done.
It just doesn't transfer from overseas to here, but she's already done the prep work and, or in process of doing prep work and is getting it lined up to have it ready to go when she gets here.
So would the person, the employee, if they're not certified, do we hire them and then we get them through the training, or do they have to show up certified lifeguard?
In the past, we haven't talked about it this year, but in the past, we have reimbursed them
Oh,
for their certification training. If you want to do that again this year, we have done it in the past, but.
It might be a good stimulus.
absolutely, yeah. It's like you get certified, you'll get your money back as soon as you start working. Then we just make sure they work for a minimum amount of time. Thank you.
Okay. Kind of as a follow-up from our last meeting, was a question asked about how many books we had in the library.
Yeah.
Thanks.
164,114 books.
Okay.
Downloadable materials, 89,745. So winds up being 253,859 possible items through that. And if you're a new card holder, you can put 10 items on your account at one time, and then after you've been there for a card holder for a month, and you can go up to 50 items. So that's quite a bit. And I had mentioned something about a 12 limit. That was for DVDs back in the day when DVDs were big popular things.
That's cool. It's fun to have Becky's enthusiasm in that role.
But she was most specific that we get the information out to you. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
I guess at this point, if I have no citizen inquiries, because there are no citizens here, so we should be able to go right into our public hearing then.
Shall I start with the presentation, Your Honor?
I believe that would be best.
Okay, excellent. So the presentation is only 51 pages long, but I promise not to keep us too long. And a lot of it is supplementary information, which probably in the future probably belongs better in the budget book. But as you're typically used to getting that information, we left it in here, but we're going to gloss over some of the information relatively quickly, but we are available for questions. So with that, I'm going to kind of kick things off on page 1. Obviously, good news, we've got a lean yet solid budget that addresses several issues. The reduction in taxable valuations increases the general fund balance, as well as the enterprise fund balances, incorporates the use of debt service levy, and offsets that with a reduction in water rates, continues to address capital project needs prior to the preparation of the CIP, and maintains service levels. The fiscal 22-23 budget reflects a proposed tax rate of $10 per $1,000 of taxable property valuation and a $3 decrease in base water rates. The general fund balance, and this is information from the earlier presentation, a good target is 25%. At some point in time, I'd like to bring forward a fund balance policy for council discussion. At this time, I do want to point out that the proposed budget raises the general fund balance from 17.62% to 23.43%, which is a great first step with our general fund balance. And I should be moving things forward. Fund balance comparison. So the budget does make excellent strides in rebuilding fund balances and puts the city in a good position as we begin to move forward and to work on the CIP. Those are the comparisons from last fiscal year, or the current fiscal year, to next fiscal year. You'll see the general fund, hotel, motel, road use, local option, water, and sewer, all with increases other than, you'll note sewer. However, sewer from fiscal year 21-22 does include the Lewis Park project. And as you recall, we're going to set up separate capital project accounts for water and sewer next budget round. Property valuations, this is a reflection of the earlier PowerPoint presentation, just as a reminder of our actual valuations and the decrease in taxable valuations this year, hopefully a one-time event. And as you recall, we did talk to the county, and hopefully this is a one-time event and hopefully we'll see closer to a 2% increase in valuations next year, and that'll also be dependent upon their new process that they put into effect next year as well. Tax levy, this simply gives you a breakdown of each of the levies that make up our total $10 levy. The general fund, our liability or insurance levy, FICA and IPERS, employee benefits, debt service. We do not currently levy the emergency service or emergency levy, which adds up to the total levy of $10. Just simple breakdown of the levy. Budget issues and challenges. Some of these are repetitive, but thought it important to bring up. And one of these is additional U.S. CPI 7.9, Midwest CPI 8%, state and local government employee cost index 2.7. That's reflective of the old one, or is that new? That's the new one. Municipal cost index 10.82% as the end of December 2021. Rollback for residential 54.1302%, and multi-res 63.75%. So as we noted earlier, we have a decrease in taxable valuations that we had to deal with for this fiscal year, and a reduction in tax revenue. Key items for the budget, a bit repetitive, but these are some of the key factors that we dealt with during the budget process. We have a 2.5% cost of living factored into the budget. We were able to include TIF admin fees. We were able to break out wages for city clerk, finance staff, city administrator, and IT between general fund, water, sewer, and streets to help with the general fund. The budget includes a debt service levy, and it uses ARPA funds towards the water main portion of the water tower project, which allows us to decrease water rates by $3 and yet maintain the levels that we need in our water revenue for our SRF funds. The decrease in the base rate provides a $38.16 reduction in rates, and I've got that additional slide later on for more information. Health insurance is budgeted at 5.5%. It's actually 5.22%. Overall, payroll items, just for your information, IPERS percentage for police, for regular employees, police and fire, 9.44%, 9.3%. The employees' share is there as well. The budgeted wage increase, bless you.
Thank you.
The city budgeted to expend a little over $1.8 million in wages for fiscal 22-23. Health, dental, and life insurance is noted, and the employee share of IPERS costs as well as FICA and Medicare costs are laid out there as well. This next page, property taxes versus water rates, you've seen before, but it shows you the breakout for a $100,000 home, a $200,000 home, commercial property examples as well, and the reduction in base water rate, showing that for residential homeowners, there will be a net savings based on the proposed budget. For fiscal year 22-23, we have a balanced budget. In fact, expenditures or revenues exceed expenditures. The general fund balance was not used to fund any operating, one-time expenditures. Proposed budget is based on positioning the city to address economic challenges, capital projects, maintaining existing levels of services and new challenges, and positioning the city for future challenges and a strong fund balance. If you did not, you might want to check your email. There was an alert that went out from the Iowa League of Cities, separate from this presentation, regarding a new potential backfill, and we all know how backfills go, that they go away. And so we may want, I've contacted the 3 legislators today, certainly encourage you to do the same. The next information on pages 12 to 21, Angie's going to jump in and do a little tag team here. This is some supplemental and historical information that's been provided to the council.
A lot of this information is what you guys usually get. The tax rate comparisons, we're still at the bottom, one of the lowest cities in our population range. In our tax levy. We have the lowest levy tax rate for Des Moines County. The next one is the valuation history. It just is continuing on from the previous years. We've had 1.3% growth in our valuation, 100% valuation. On the next slide, the taxable valuations used for the levy rates, this is where you'll see the decrease in the taxable valuations. The next one is just going over the taxable valuations by the major classes. Obviously, the residential went down, the commercial went up a little bit, industrial went up, and then the multi-res went down. The next one is the property tax rollback. This is the last year that we'll have the multifamily rollback. Next fiscal year, 23-24, it'll be the same as residential. And it shows on the next slide, it shows that and says that it's, next year it's gonna be this, the 23-24 will be the same as residential. The next slide just kind of shows the difference in the years as the rollbacks decrease, and it also, our tax rate also affects that also, because if you look at 21-22, there was a decrease of 153, but we also had a lower tax rate that year. And then the commercial and industrial property tax replacement. This is just pretty much historical information and, the equivalent, the employee benefits, fund that they're part of the tax replacement. That's it, your turn. And go.
Property taxes and levies. Property tax dollars is the city's, obviously, the city's largest source of funds for general government and operations. The city has budgeted to receive a little over $1.8 million in property tax dollars at the $10 levy rate, an increase of just over $32,000. Several factors that determine the amount of property tax dollars received: levy rate, taxable property values, the rollback. Increase is due in part to the tax levy. State limits in the amount cities can levy for the general fund is $8 per $1,000 of taxable value. As noted, the additional levies are in the liability, property, and self-insurance costs, FICA and IPERS, employee benefits, debt service, for a total of $10 per $1,000 of valuation. Property tax calculations. This is simply how property taxes are calculated for residential property. And this is simply an example on how the calculation is done. On the next page, you'll have a tax rate history going back to fiscal year 2010, 2011, through the proposed fiscal year. And on the next page, you'll have residential property taxes going back to fiscal year 2012, 2013, showing the assessed valuation, rollback, taxable value, tax rate, what the tax is, obviously the difference, and the monthly difference. These are some historical slides that you've typically been given, and we wanted to continue to provide those as some supplemental information. Same information for commercial property taxes is listed on the next page. And then the property tax history as well on page 27. On page 28, information on the general fund begins. This is the city's chief operating fund, and the fund supports those operations most identified with the city, such as fire and police. The largest source of revenue in the general fund is from property taxes. It also receives all other income that is not required by law or contractual agreement to be deposited elsewhere. Also included is revenue from licenses, permits, and earnings of investments. For fiscal year 22-23, general fund revenues are budgeted at just over $3.7 million and expenses at $3.5 million. Revenues exceed expenditures by $219,000. At the end of fiscal year 22-23, the general fund is estimated to have a fund balance of $830,683. This results in a fund balance of 23.43%. Excellent increase. This simply shows that information in a slightly different manner. Expenditures in excess of revenues this current fiscal years and prior years' history. Back to, the dates are hard to see on that. We need to correct that slide, looks like. Enterprise funds begin on 31 and 32. In order to meet the first one, water, in order to meet the requirements for the SRF for funding of the construction of Mount Pleasant Street Water Tower project, water rates will stay the same other than the reduction in the $3 water rate base. What you see here is our current rate structure, the current rate, and then the rate as of July 1, 2022. On the next page, sewer, garbage, recycling rates are broken out, simply showing you how those rates are currently figured. You'll note in my earlier update the increase in water rates. Then we intend to take a kind of a deep dive into our water, sewer, and stormwater rates and bring information back to the city council on that and see if there's not some better ways to accomplish or to do that and bring that information back at a work session for council, rather than simply taking 12% increase.
12%.
Road use tax fund is on the next page. Not keeping up here with the slides. Road use tax funds comes from vehicle registration fees, motor vehicle fuel taxes, and excise tax imposed on the rental of automobiles and use on trailers, and is based on population. We got a slight bump based on our 2020 increase in population. Estimated amount for 2022-2023 is $126.50 per capita. When doing the budget, an estimate of $140 was used. Economic instability and fluctuating fuel costs can result in changes. Obviously, the city budgeted to receive $455,515 from road use taxes, with expenditures of $532,810. The expenditures continuing to include an annual budget of $68,000 for HMA crack fill, and that's that new product that we discussed during the budget process. Well, obviously, we'll keep a close eye on this based on current issues and gas prices, and keep an eye on that revenue. Road use tax revenues are listed on the next page. You'll see that we've received a nice little bump each of the last fiscal years, and including this proposed budget at $532,800.10, but that also includes an increase in our population from the last census. Local option sales tax starts on page 36. And we're also projecting revenues here at $667,830 for 22-23, and then below that you'll see the history of local option sales tax on the chart below.
The 21-22 number isn't completely accurate yet because we haven't received all of the funds for this fiscal year. So that negative amount's kind of
Misgiving.
Yeah. Sorry, Greg.
Thank you. Local option sales tax expenditures. Revenues are estimated at $667,000. Expenditures $446. Adding to the fund balance. On the right-hand side in the chart, you'll see how those funds are distributed between police and fire, the SRS or debt service payments, ambulance, library, airport, capital projects, and fire. Hotel motel taxes on the next pages. For fiscal year 22-23, estimated revenues are at $65,000 and expenditures budgeted at $45,000. The allocation for hotel motel, 51% for the city, 49% allocated towards CVB, and our current CVB manager will be here at the first meeting in April. For an update. The estimated year-end fund balance is $128,647, an increase of 7% from the current fiscal year. On the next page, you have a history of hotel motel revenues for your information, and again, you'll see the current fiscal year is not listed there. Angie, I'll let you start on page 42, 43.
Yeah. These are just some graphs and charts on the revenues and expenditures. The first slide shows the revenue by source. 28% of our revenue is from the property taxes, and 38% is for other services. The tax revenue breakdown just breaks down the different tax revenues that we receive. 45% of that is property tax. Although I do want to add, the hotel motel has been coming in a lot higher than what we'd budgeted as far as the revenue end of it, so that's really good. Expenditures by function. The highest one is public safety, but they have some, big ticket items that they're gonna get next fiscal year, so theirs is the highest as far as expenditures. Capital projects and equipment reserves. This goes over the different projects we're gonna have, the amounts and where the funding's gonna come from. So if you go down through the list, you've got 10,000 for the sidewalks out of the local option, the fire truck, training grounds, and the equipment to go with the truck. That is coming out of the fire capital reserve, which has been saving for quite some time. The Gear Avenue Phase 2, we're gonna get $275,357 for the TAP grant. A lot of this other stuff we covered. Police has got $70,300, and that's gonna come out of their reserve fund. Greg covered the HMA crack fill. 'Cause last year we budgeted for the seal coating, and so this year it was, because we're rotating, right, Mike? The water tower, which is gonna, part of that's gonna be covered with ARPA. Mount Pleasant Street Phase 2, water main repair, and then the sewer force main study and the sewer lining. And then, once again, Lewis Park. And then the next one is your transfers to capital funds. Everything pretty much stayed the same. We dropped the fire capital equipment transfer down. We dropped the police down. Parks, otherwise, it pretty much stayed the same. The debt's pretty much the same as what it was last year, except we added the 2022 GO bond. So that's pretty much the same.
That's the budget in a nutshell. We're happy to take any questions, but before we do that, I do want to thank the entire city staff, the city council, for your time and effort with the budget. I do want to have a special thank you to our finance manager Angie Moore. This is her very first budget, and job well done. This is the city's most important policy document that the City Council adopts on an annual basis. It provides a roadmap for the coming fiscal year. It's a living document that is a guide. But things do change throughout the year, as do priorities, and we need to have a budget that is flexible and can accommodate today's changing municipal environment. Now, it's time to move on to goals, CIP, and the comp plan. And we do need to talk about a date for our goal-setting session as well. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. We did actually run through that relatively quickly for 51 pages. The key pages are those initial ones, which kind of give you a summary of the budget, I guess the key items of the budget, but happy to answer any questions.
I want to make a couple comments. I know there's a couple hundred people that usually watch this, and they haven't been in on all of these budget conversations the entire way through. And so I'd like to explain just a little bit of what you just heard. And that's a little bit of what I would call almost a miracle from our new city administrator. We have a new city administrator. We've got brand new finance staff. We've got 3 new council members. We have a brand new mayor. We all have different priorities and things that we want to see done from staff and from council. And you just saw a brand-new budget done that is basically neutral to the citizens, up a tiny bit on taxes and down on water payments. And we've got a lot of big projects in there, from Mount Pleasant to things that have already started, from the water tower to buying a fire truck and all those kind of things. And yet you've got the lowest tax rate in the county. You're in the bottom third of tax rates in the state of Iowa. You've increased fund balances in this budget as well. And I think all of that is incredible to be done in your first year in the job, and our first year as a council and with a new mayor. So thank you very much, Greg and Angie and everybody that worked on this. I think it's really good for year one. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it's a great first start, and I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us now.
And Andy, I echo the same sentiments, since I'm not a newbie anymore. I'm a long-termer, I guess, but hopefully not much longer. But this is one of the smoothest budgets, and people will be happy, especially my finance people, that we're like 23% for revenues. I mean, we've never been that high for a while.
It's a very responsible budget.
Yes.
I echo that too. There was a lot of give and take, and a lot of consideration. Some stuff didn't get in, some did. You know, now you guys got to watch, Greg, how we spend it.
Any other input?
I think, concur with what everyone said, but just thank the city staff who probably worked harder on this than previously, because they had to do a lot of educating of each other and the changes that have occurred with Angie and with Greg. So appreciate that. And now the challenge is to execute it. So let's go forward and take on new challenges. Thanks.
With that in mind, then I can end the public hearing. And we'll go on to new business. We have a consideration for the budget proposal.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution adopting the budget for fiscal year 22-23 with our tax rate at $10.
I second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on this? In that case, I'll call for a roll call on this one.
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a new budget. Second one is a consideration of payment to Boomerang Corporation for work completed on the Mount Pleasant Water Tower project.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Third one, consider change order number 2 from Fry Excavating for the Lures Park Water Restoration Project.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Do we have any discussion?
What's this
This would be the
change order?
This will be the final change order. This is the item that was approved by IDNR. We've mentioned before, this is that concrete block that will be repaired and then extended to the bridge on both sides. If you recall, during that storm, the water went up and behind it, and it was recommended that it go down on along both sides of the bank, and then seeding and restoration. Wrap up the project. You'll also see the amendment process coming forward. They call it an amendment process. It's really the loan process that we'll be wrapping up and approving for the project and moving forward. But this should round out the project and wrap everything up.
I understand that we have a lot of, change orders, things we don't expect when we get into a project, but couldn't have they seen that coming along, that we were gonna need the reinforcement in there, and when we did the project?
They did put the reinforcement in. It was in the plans and everything, but after they got it in, the reinforcement wasn't as far as it should have been. I mean, we were through the curve and we thought we had it, but it went through the curve and didn't cut in, and then it cut in right behind it.
It'll help stabilize the bank too on both sides, and as it goes underneath that small walking bridge as well. And then if you remember, this is a sponsored project, so this is a little bit different than usual. This project was based off of the sewer plant project, where we're able to basically receive extra dollars and do a clean water project. And that's where the funds came to do this Lewis Park project. And those funds paid for the entire project. And then that loan amendment will get completed and paid for. We're basically paying for this project out of the interest from the other project.
The payment's not what I'm concerned.
No, I understand.
My concern is, we get into a project and then it seems like something like this was very simple to see that it should have been done when we were doing it. We didn't go far enough, and we should have.
Well, it was not overseen by just us. This was DNR recommendations and everybody with it that made the plans up.
Okay, well, thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, then a motion to approve this.
Motion and a second.
Motion and second, okay. Voice vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion carries. Consider a resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement providing for the issuance of $525,000 in general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2022, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same.
Motion to approve as presented.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
I always just like to mention, whenever we're doing something like this, why we're doing it, and this is directly tied to the redoing of Mount Pleasant Street out there. If you've driven that recently, it is getting pretty bad. The more I drive it, when we first started talking about this, I was like, maybe, but yeah, it's getting worse and worse, so glad we went ahead.
And this is a project that's $725,000 plus engineering costs, which is closer to about $900,000. The remainder of those costs are covered by what's called SWAP or STBG funds through Southeast Iowa Regional Planning, which are pass-through dollars from the feds in the state.
There's no other discussion, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Consider a proposal from Bonds, is that Bonsack?
Yes, Bonsack and Fromelt.
LLP for auditing services.
Motion approved.
Your
Second.
Second?
Yep.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
I think my only comment is it's obviously higher than what we've been doing in the past. And so was your estimate that you thought we were going to continue paying closer to 20,000 with our current folks, which I know we maybe wanted to move on anyway, but
Going forward, based on the work that was provided, and the work that I know these folks do, and the work and support that they provide throughout the year, for no additional cost. I think what we're getting here is a bargain. These folks are specialized. This is all they do. They do governmental work, whether that's cities or school districts, but municipal sector work. And That's what they specialize in. They do training sessions, both state, regional, and across the country. And they are more than willing to answer questions and support our staff throughout the year and through the audit process. They're even willing to do pre-audits, which is something that we may want to consider as well. It's something that I'll talk to Sarah about later on because she's a little busy, or has been, but excellent service. And yes, to answer your question, I think we're getting, actually I think we're getting more for our money with the service.
Any other discussion? If not, voice vote signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 6, consider entering into a contract with Civic Plus for website hosting.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion support. Any discussion?
I'll just add, I looked at both Ely and Bondurant's site, and they looked intuitive, and it worked quickly, so that was simple enough to impress me that the user interface is well thought out and something our residents will benefit from.
I think in general, Brad, this stuff looks pretty good, and I wondered, what was your time frame for switching over from where we're at now to having?
Well, we're gonna start talks. Did they give you a time frame on when they would start with us, Greg?
We'll get things started, and then you have a design process, and then you start the changeover in equipment, and that can take approximately 3 months. And it's a pretty seamless process. There used to be a paper process, actually, the first time I did it, where you looked at different designs, and it's changed to an electronic process over the years. I've done 3 iterations with Civic Plus before. It's a pretty seamless process. They have this new product that's for 10,000 populations 10,000 and below, and it's going to be doing everything that we need. We're going to be able to do. One, we're going to have an excellent website. We're going to be able to utilize their clerk tools, and about the time we go live, we'll have some additional. We'll have the same services plus some additional services on the clerk side as well. And we'll start out with the email, and at that time we have the emergency alert text service. Then we'll be switching over to the full text service under this product at the same cost as well. And then you saw both in the memo and in the ROI, we're also at the same time saving quite a bit of money in the process, ending up with a better product, and not only for the city but for the public as well. So we're all very excited about this process. But typically about a 3-month process it takes, if all goes smoothly, from start to finish for the website.
Is your current plan that, just as an example, Kelly will have access to be able to change things that she needs to change that are front-facing? And
they have the training in-house to show them how to do it. They'll have the training videos for them to watch, and they'll train them up on it as well.
The goal would be from about every department to be able to do that. Okay, Mike.
Right.
Don't worry, Mike. Don't worry. But
One thing at a time, we'll get you through the purchasing.
the back end on this platform is extremely easy to use compared to a lot of the other products that are out there. So the back end is extremely easy to use. The agenda process is extremely easy to use, so.
And we don't have to worry about purchasing the ADA compliance software anymore, which was like $1,600 a month, or not a month, a year, I'm sorry. But, so that's a great savings on that part as well.
And it works on mobile products. It's built to do that as well. So, I mean, it's just, they came out with this new product, and because they had contacted me a few weeks ago and just to check with us one more time, and the cost didn't make sense before. I mean, I would love to have switched over to it, but now they have this new product for communities 10,000 and below, and I mean, it's an excellent product. I think you'll be extremely happy with it, and I know we're excited about it.
Well, my last comment would be, it's pretty easy to get bogged down in these transitions, and a year from now, we're still talking about this. So let's actually get it done once we pay the check. And
They actually have a project manager that they're gonna assign to us, and they keep it flowing pretty good. They'll have us establish it, because I was at county when they did theirs. They actually had us come in and discuss what design we wanted. They showed us a bunch of different examples, and
The design process is relatively
Yep.
easy and smooth. It goes fast. The piece that takes the longest is the transfer of information. That's really what takes the longest. And that piece is kind of behind the scenes, and that may take a little bit longer. But to get the product up and running and have the basic information that the public needs is a lot easier. But that transfer of all the data that you already have on there and making sure that you include what you need to have, that's kind of the behind-the-scenes piece that takes the longest amount of time.
well, when you get there, if we need it, you and I can sit in there for a weekend and have it done, okay? But let's get it done. And I know I'm contacted a lot about, I can't find Sean's email or a way to contact him. And I'm not picking on Sean. It's just something that I've had actually today mentioned to me. But let's just get it all the way done here and up.
Yep.
Greg also had me submit for a .gov website so we can be more official. So we'll be westburlingtoniowa.gov once it gets approved. It's in the pending process right now, but it should be approved here within the next week.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consider the purchase of Microsoft Office 365 Premium.
So I put together a piece of paper like this that I gave you guys. It's a ROI over it. I went and got the figures for you on the costs and the savings by going to off-site. So the servers, we pay approximately $12,000 per server is what I budget. And we'll be able to eliminate 2 of those because we don't have to have the 2 servers running for Exchange anymore that we currently have. Also, the Windows licensing, they changed the licensing model. It's no longer licensing by processor, it's by core in the processor. And it's a lot more expensive when it comes time to renew that. So the fact that we can get rid of 2 servers is gonna save us a ton on Windows licensing. As you can see, we're gonna go from 172 cores down to 120. You can do the math there. They charge them per core. That's a huge difference. And then I kind of put down there the total savings. If you can see the difference in cost between the 124,000 and the 99,000 if we go off-site. And that's not to mention all the additional features that we'll gain by going to 365. Because we won't have to pay, Tyler is switching to Azure model, which this will come with Azure Active Directory that we would have had to pay $6 per license for as well, that I actually don't have in here in the cost savings. But we won't have to get that piece.
What's the transition time on this?
I'm gonna start tomorrow if you guys approve it today. I would probably say 2 weeks to get fully transitioned. I give 2 weeks because there's always hiccup. It should only take a couple days, but you know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a problem.
At the moment, I don't have a motion on the floor for this, so.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Guess you can get started tomorrow then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Last piece of new business is consider the first reading of an ordinance limiting the parking on Division Street from Broadway to South Gear Avenue. Proposed ordinance is no parking.
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Support.
Support. Okay, discussion.
Curious, have we got any feedback since 2 weeks ago? We talked about this from anybody about this
Not heard anything.
Well, if you take division from Roosevelt to Broadway, there's no parking
There's none
anywhere
there.
along on the Burlington section.
Oh, so we just
So
be
we would just
consistent
be consistent and maintain it.
Or clear to the river.
all the way to the river, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. There's also no manufacturing plants along there.
Still good.
Nothing but from the people who have businesses along there. That's my concern. Are they gonna be
Well,
able to
tho-
react where their employees
Those
park?
businesses are required to have enough parking for their businesses, for their employees on site.
Gotcha.
We did find out that some of those folks are most likely, one's taking a shortcut to where he works, and some of them are taking smoke breaks out there.
So there's parking on the premise for
But they
them.
are required to have enough parking on site
Gotcha,
in those locations
gotcha.
now. But yes, I mean, but I haven't received any comments.
Okay, and I haven't either. I've just, my observation, the one time I went there, I did see no vehicles on the road, so I thought maybe self-imposed, self-discipline got people off of there. I don't know, just bad timing too.
I think it's mostly when second shift and first shift's coming in, and then there's not
That
enough
overlap,
for,
yeah.
there's that overlap.
Yeah.
But then they sit there for 8 hours, you know?
Yes, and this,
In the evening, in the dark.
in the evening, in the dark. It's a safety thing when they enter. I get that. I was just curious if we got any feedback. Cool, thanks, no problem.
Two things. Number one, did we reach out at all just to ask if they had input?
We did not.
That's probably my only problem with this, because I'm actually in favor of it. I've driven out there, I've counted cars, I've counted open spaces. I counted, the last time I was out there, there was 4 cars on the street, and there was 22 open spaces. So, like, okay, probably room, even though I understand on the shift change, that might be a little more of an issue. But that's really my only thing is, I kind of like to have feedback from the people that it affects, but I am for this even if it does cause them to maybe move some things. It looked like maybe even there was some parking out there that they were using as storage, where they could even open up some more spaces. So I'm for this either way. I would have rather given them time to go ahead and comment on it.
Don't we have 2 more readings of the ordinance?
We do.
So,
Could we send a letter?
Well, I can call the manager.
Oh, okay.
I've been in touch with him several times, and several of us have been in touch with them in recent weeks. And I guess to be a little sarcastic, they owe the city over $20-some thousand in tax increment financing for their failure to meet their forgivable loan requirements in their employment as well, which I've also talked to them about recently as well. Just a friendly little reminder, if they're watching.
I would think a phone call would be appropriate then.
Yeah. I can certainly give them a call.
I guess I just asked for a voice vote on this one then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have any old business? If not, then. No citizen inquiries, because we have no citizens here. So I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and support. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
thank you.